Hey guys, my name is
I
Kendrick.
wasn't ready.
Welcome,
Sorry.
welcome to ENFP Mail, and today I get to interview Thomas. So definitely Thomas starts off with a bang by, just exploding out there. If I was an IJ, I would be so pissed right now.
That would be so worth it.
Yeah, but I'm an EP, so it's all good. I would like you to do that to an IJ though. That would be definitely like something I would love to watch.
Yes.
They'll probably turn off the video and re-record.
Yes, and that would be hilarious.
All right, dude. So you are an ENFJ, but what is your op type? Like, what is your
Right, my OP type, let's see, it is FE, SE, um,
jumper?
play, blast, consume, sleep, and double feminine.
So you're pretty much Gary V, but double feminine version.
Right. I'm like Gary V if he was like an introvert nerd.
Oh, I see. And you're more playful instead of punching people in the face. Like, hey, you gotta do this. So let's talk about. You mentioned before this interview that you did not think you were, an FESE at one point. Like when you used to type yourself, you came out as an INTP. You said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that.
So, my family got into the Myers-Briggs personality stuff back in the 90s when I was just a teenager. My mother, a self-typed INTJ, typed me as INTP. And then I got super into it, and I read all the stuff, and was like, type talk and please understand me and all that stuff. And, I read everything. I got super, super excited about it. And, I was typing everything and everybody. And, it made the most sense. I did the test myself in each of the books. It came out as INTP every single time. Like over the years, I've like done online tests. I've done all the things, researched it myself, like read a bunch of the actual like personality profiles, and everything is like, yes, absolutely, spot on. And then, fast forward however many years, and then Dave types me as like not even exactly the opposite. Because if it was exactly the opposite with the exact same functions, just in a different order, you'd be like, oh, okay. But completely different functions, like NE instead, or NI instead of NE, SE instead of whatever the heck. Also, I didn't know about the functions back in the 90s. It was just like the letters.
Like kind of like more horoscope kind of thing.
Yeah.
Descriptions, yeah. So did you think you were an INTP because you have that masculine TI?
I think that's kind of what makes sense. Now that I understand the OP thing and, the masculine and feminine texture of the different functions and the dichotomies and the binary coins and all the what's and whatnots and what. Yeah, definitely when push comes to shove, so there's your saviors and then, your masculine functions. Sometimes your saviors are masculine. Sometimes they're not. Both of my demons are masculine, and both of my feminines are saviors. So like when I'm in a fight, I'll reach for the strongest bedrock to stand on and then fight from there. So I fight from a position of NT.
Which is weird because you're sleep last. So I mean, how does that work, right? Because that's kind of like the interaction between your NT, which is your introverted intuition and your introverted thinking. But it's like it's your last, right? So how are you accessing it when you're fighting people?
I'll just do it last. It's like it still gets done. I'll just do it later.
It's kind of like a checklist, like
yeah.
Like you'll use this weapon, it doesn't work, use this next one, and then when nothing works, then you throw the last weapon.
Yeah.
Your nuclear bomb, your NT, your secret.
Right, man. You push me. You push the cat energy guy into the corner, and now you bring out the nukes, right?
Yeah. You turn to the Hawk, like.
Yeah.
You're like Bruce Banner outside, and then you turn to the Hawk, like when but the Hawk with the intelligence of Bruce Banner. you know, not just like
Sure.
smacking people. Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally peacock that I'm super smart. Look at me. I've got glasses and everything.
I know, man. You got me fooled. You got me fooled for sure. Um, um, so because you're double feminine, how does it play into your like life function? That means you're very flexible with people in general.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So kind of the way that I understand it, it's like well, my latest understanding of it is like yield. You know, when you're driving and you know the yield sign is you can go unless anybody else might think about wanting to go. So you can think of blast as being like a freight train. You know, you've got your steps laid out. You've got the train tracks. The train is just barreling down those tracks, those existing tracks. But masculine blast, it's like if somebody steps into the train tracks while the train's going, they're dead. Like, you know, but feminine extroverted decider blast is like the train guy's like, he's got his foot on the, you know, hovering over the brake, just waiting. Somebody stands near the train tracks and the guy's like, stop everything, and just like everything grinds to a halt.
Yeah.
And just like, oh, did you want to cross did you want to, no, oh, are you good? Oh, all right, okay. And then you start building up.
Take your time.
Right. So it's like that. It's like always ready to stop and let everybody else go first.
Yeah. What
But
about
once it gets up to speed, it can accidentally bulldoze people.
by accident, but not on purpose?
Sure. Yeah.
What about your feminine extrovert sensing? Does that mean when you gather facts, you're not sure if you really gather the right facts? Is there's like some sort of insecurity behind it? You know, when we.
Yeah, so that it's I understand like the feminine sensory really just means masculine intuition is like when I gather the sensory, it's like in one ear and out the other. It's like I gather it and then it's gone unless I've done the work to process it. But once it hits the intuition, once I understand it conceptually, it's there permanently. But I'm never going to remember the specific details. So what I've started to do as a coping mechanism, I carry around a notepad, so I'll write down the specific details. And tracking time is really hard, so I got this specific watch. It's a Fitbit Versa, very specifically, because it has one button to turn on and off the timer, so that I can just look and see how much time it has been.
Yeah.
Because I'll never know. Like, has it been 20 minutes or 3 hours? No clue.
Yeah. So what about your introverted intuition? I'd like to hear more about that. So how do you organize known information after you've gathered the facts, you know?
Yeah, so that's like that's an interesting topic. It's like there's kind of two ways that it works, is consciously and unconsciously, intentionally and unintentionally.
Yeah.
It's like by default it operates unconsciously and unintentionally, just kind of cranking away in the background.
Yeah.
You know, if you research how the brain works and split brain studies and stuff, blah, blah, blah. You know, brains are complicated. Everything's always working. But like the end result in reality is that it, like, I'll just be going about my regular life and suddenly I'll just have an epiphany, just like an NI epiphany. It's like the results of 6 months of NI work that I wasn't doing or was apparently doing unconsciously in the back of my, just like, I totally understand this thing now. I went from having no clue to completely understanding it in 0 seconds is what it feels like, with no effort, no conscious effort. But then, so that's how it works unconsciously. But consciously, it's like whenever I go to organize things, it always gets into like categories within subcategories. It's like, wait, what am I doing again? Why am I categorizing everything in the universe? This is a waste of my time.
It is a demon.
Right.
I was interviewing an INTJ with masculine NI, Austin. I don't know if you've spoken to him. And he was kind of describing masculine NI as kind of like, there's a maze, but instead of like weaving through the maze, they'll just bulldoze a straight line through the maze.
Yes.
So even though yours is a demon, have you seen yourself do that before? Where there's kind of like a roadblock. You're like, you know what? If you screw this roadblock, I'm gonna plow through this. I don't care. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Yes, absolutely. It's like it's funny, like I'll get into blast mode, which is NIFE blast mode, which the NI is the masculine, the FE is the feminine.
Yeah.
But it's like with the feminine sensory and masculine intuition, I don't see what's really there. I see my imagination of what should be there.
Yeah.
So like you can turn the lights off and I see just fine because I see what should be there.
I see.
And so I'll be like, walking through the house, like I have to go, I have to go screw in this screw. I need to go get the screwdriver out of the thing. I know exactly. I'm in like blast mode doing it, but like there's something in my way. I won't see it. So I'll just walk through it and just like totally bulldoze it as if it weren't even there.
So you do it in the physical world, not so much in ideas.
Well, in ideas too, it's like in plans of like, I see the future of obviously this is how technology is going to go. This is what is going to be normal in the future.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like the future. It feels like now. It feels like, oh man, I'm so far behind. I've got to run to catch up to where everybody else is, because that what apparently is NI vision of what the future is going to be feels like it's already here and already now. But once I actually do the work of wait, is VR actually a thing? Or how many people are actually using it? Like, is Bitcoin a thing? Like, I don't care about Bitcoin, but all these things, like, is the web a thing? I got super into the web in the 90s, and I thought I was so far behind, but the web was barely a thing 20 years later.
In a way, that's actually really good, because you jump on things right away. You don't waste time, right? Like you see
Right.
that, kind of like with your FE, you see what's popular, and
Right.
you're like, and then with your SE, kind of like, part of being SE is also like in the moment, right? So you're like in the moment, you're like, okay, this is what's popular. I need to jump in right now, because your NI can see the future, and you need to bulldoze as fast as possible. Otherwise, you're left behind, and you're gonna be that uncool kid, like
Right.
this loser guy who's left behind.
Yeah, I definitely see that as play blast, or at least, low sleep consume. Low sleep means I'm not stopping and preserving energy and really processing things. When I go to process, my first processing animal is blast, so I'll think out loud in the moment while doing stuff. And then I'll actually realize what I said later. It's like, oh, wait, that was really smart, the thing I just said.
Compliment yourself.
Yeah, it's like, because I said it, like I was processing it out loud, and then realized what I said later, and like, oh wait, that's a good point. Like, I'm a different person.
Oh my God, Thomas, you're so smart.
Like, well, it's not that I'm smart. It's just like, oh, I understand that point now after I've said it.
Yeah.
And that point is cool. I'm excited about the point. I don't then think about, oh, well, I'm so great. I just don't think about myself at all. I keep forgetting that I even exist.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's very interesting. So let's talk about yourself. Like, what do you mean you don't even see yourself existing?
Like I look in the mirror, and it's just like so weird. Like, wait, I'm a person. Like, that's I just like, wow, it's just such a weird thought to actually be anything at all, because it just doesn't feel like being a person most of the time. It just, I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Well, what do you feel like then? Like, if you're not a person, then what do you feel like? Like,
I don't know. I'm not thinking about it.
Right. I mean, you do have sleep last, right? So that
Right.
makes sense.
Like, my identity.
Yeah. Well, does it bother you that you don't feel like you're connected to yourself, or it's not a big deal to you?
I don't, in the moment, I'm just like right now, I'm enjoying this moment. I'm just like reacting to whatever you're saying at the time. I'm, also checking to make sure that I'm properly framed and I'm looking into the camera and not, my head's not outside of the frame and stuff like that. It's like, I'm not thinking about my identity and like
Your reason.
I'm making sure that everything is right for everybody and that I'm implementing the plan appropriately and properly responding in the moment to whatever I've got to do, like making sure my gestures are in shot, stuff like that.
So, like how I see FEs a lot of times is like, society kind of has like what's socially acceptable and what's not socially acceptable, right?
Yeah.
Would you ever see yourself like going out of bounds on that, like what society sees as acceptable and not acceptable?
Well, absolutely. Because like, what does society mean? Like, it's, there's so many tribes within sub-tribes, and like there are more tribes than there are atoms in the universe, because there's the combinatorial effect of every single group of people. Like me and my wife, that's one tribe. We have our own inside jokes, our own like mini culture, and then extend that to me and my wife and the kids, and then me and the kids without my wife, it's like a slightly different tribe. And then everybody in this neighborhood, and then everybody in this town, and like everybody who is into JavaScript is this kind of subtype, and then there are sub groups within that, and then each group has its own like list of ranking of their values of like this subgroup of technology thinks that this thing is great and this thing is terrible. This other group has the exact opposite opinion. So when I'm hanging out with somebody like this, I have to I just naturally remember, like, don't disparage Vim to this guy. Don't disparage Emacs to this guy, because, they care. And I care about what they care about.
Are you a different person for each of those tribes that you just mentioned?
No, I'm still me. It's just like, I'm not a jerk. Like, I'm not gonna say the thing that you have devoted your career to sucks, and therefore so do you. Like, I'm not going to do that, because that would be rude. And no matter what it is, like I can go against those things, because I feel very strongly about some very strongly held opinions, and I have in the past gotten in trouble by arguing about stupid things that didn't matter when it comes to technological decisions.
Have you ever had like a big swing where you went to like caring about how everyone feels, and then you kind of someone triggered you and you're like, you know what, screw this, I'm gonna tell them the reasons, kind of like you swang all the way to your TI.
Oh yeah.
And you punch them in the face with your TI.
Oh yeah. It's like when I'm forced to defend my thinking position. So like, for example, I was working at this one tech startup, and I was working on this one project. I chose to use feature A of technology Q or whatever, and then somebody else on a completely different project on a completely different team said, no, you can't use that feature of that technology. And like, but all of his reasons didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Basically it boils down to, that's not the right way. That's not the way it's done, which is a very TE, position to argue from. Yeah. And my opinion was that it is better for all of these reasons that he refused to listen to. And I refused to give up. I'm not budging. He's not budging. We both got fired. So
both got fired?
Well, yeah, eventually.
Holy shit. Are you still?
I deserved it.
Do you think you both deserve it? Like the other guy as well?
No comment.
All right. That's so. Are you still working in the tech industry?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for forever. What else am I gonna do, right?
I guess that's a very NI thing, right? Like, what else am I gonna do? What specific area in tech are you working in?
So I'm I do let's see. So I was let's see. So JavaScript, web tech, specifically React Native, doing native mobile apps using web technologies that are fast and good and stuff.
So you're doing a lot of programming then?
Yes. More on the front end engineering side of things. So like implementing the design of like an app product. So I'll handle like, so the design decides what it should look like and basically how it should behave. I will implement that, and then somebody else will actually do all the like the databases and like how make it like save the data to the back end and stuff. I'll just make sure that the thing that you are actually touching and interacting with works good.
So you're all about user experience then?
Yes.
Yeah, like it must feel good, right? Like very FE, like feels good for everyone.
Right. So the FESE thing actually serves me very, very well there, which is an odd phrasing. Like I've never said serves me well, but it seems like people are saying that a lot, and I just picked it up accidentally. Anyway, like yeah, that was some real-time sleep there, just processing in the moment.
Yeah.
Or blast, I guess, whatever.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, so I care very, very much about the experience of the end user or the human being that's trying to use this stupid thing.
Yeah.
Like if it's slow, everybody's going to hate it and they're going to be miserable. If it looks bad, they're going to hate it and be miserable. So it needs to be fast. It needs to look good. It needs to work well, etc.
You know what? That's so interesting because just based on your description, it does seem like if you want to have the best user experience, you need to hire someone with FE and SE because who else would know what feels good for everyone? Not just to navigate the app or whatever, but also to feel the actual product, right? With the SE.
I totally agree.
Yeah, like that just gave me like the biggest light bulb. It's like, okay, if I ever, start my own business and I need to design user experience, I need to get someone who's a jumper, ENFJ, FESE. Because no one's gonna beat you guys for this kind of stuff,
Right. For caring about it, not necessarily, being the right person to execute like that. I can see where other people would be better at executing the plan, but as far as like caring what needs to be done and deciding prioritizing what are the right features and bugs and things to work on, like you want somebody that at least performs the action of those skill sets, not necessarily, genetically disposed to whatever.
So like, yeah, you would get like an ENTJ or INTJ to do the execution, right? While the person that's your type, the jumper, you're the person in charge of user experience. And then later, once the product has been launched, then you might also be in charge of public relations or, showing it to the crowd or to the beta testers, let's say,
Yeah, I think the perfect role for me would probably be product management, because that's all about the deciding what needs to be done, and less about actually doing it. But here I am with 20 years of engineering skill, so now I gotta use that, I guess. Whatever.
You're making it work somehow.
Sure.
Now, are you also very good at crowd control as a result?
Wait, no, you just asked the phrase, are you very good? No matter what you say after that, the answer is yes. Yes, I am very good at everything. I am maximum tribe value.
Yeah.
So, sorry, say that again.
So are you very good at crowd control then? Like as a result of having that strong FE, like making sure everyone's feeling good. Like let's say you have a cocktail party and or like a party in general. Like would you be like the ultimate host then? Would you say?
No. Unfortunately, that's where the double feminine thing comes out to play, because in a group, I become an introvert. Like if there's somebody very dominant in the room, or if there's just a lot of people, it's just like having that feminine extroverted decider is very movable, and I'm like it's doubly activated, so I'm doubly responsible to it. So it's just as intense as it can get of being moved by other people, and the more people that you have, the more potential for me to screw things up. It explodes. So the best course of action, the number one winning strategy, is to not play. It was like, I can't screw anything up if I'm not there, or if I go hang out and chat with one introvert in the corner.
So that's kind of like your fallback to on a big event is find an introvert to chat with, or just pull yourself out of the situation almost.
Historically, yes. It's like avoidance, finding like one interesting person and just like locking on and like deep diving into their world, obsessing with them, hanging out, chatting with them.
So if you're someone that had a masculine extrovert feeling, then you would try to dominate the room then. Like you would want to be the center of attention. Is that kind of like, would you agree with that
I don't
statement?
know if it's a want so much as just a thing that happens just naturally without even trying. I don't know.
Wow, that's super interesting. No, because I also have, I have like feminine TE, right?
Mm,
So like I don't like to be the center of attention in a big group.
yeah.
I prefer to talk to people like almost one-on-one. Um, but unless I'm given that role of the public speaker, like let's say I am the host, then okay, then I'll go play that role, right? Like of the host. But so unless that was designated, I would not want to pursue that at all. So I don't know if that's the case for you. Like, what if you were designated as like the MC of the party, or you are the host of the party? How would you act differently?
Yeah. So I guess so there are two things. One, I think that I would never allow myself to be in a position where I have that kind of responsibility, because that would just be nightmarish. Um, but on the other hand, like in the moment, I always feel a sense of responsibility to make sure everything goes well. I'll give you a specific example. We were at Starbucks the other day. Everybody I was with wanted to go. Like something was wrong. It was really slow. The whole place was super busy. Lots of people there, and high nerves because everybody's waiting. Everybody's stressed out. And then this girl dropped her coffee all over like the shoes and the pants of a couple of friends of mine. And like at that moment, like I am now personally responsible to make sure that all of these people are happy. And my go-to action was to get the heck out of there and observe from a distance to make sure that other people handled it. And if they didn't, so her friend came in and made sure that she got a replacement drink. So, okay, I don't have to worry about that, because like she's not leaving here without a replacement drink. Like that is my responsibility, but I don't want to do it. Like
Oh
I
wow,
have to do it. I have to make sure it's done, but I don't want to do it.
how come you don't want to do it then? That's interesting.
Right. I just have to make sure that it gets done, but I don't want to like meet her. I don't want to get involved in the emotional aspect of like, because that's just heightening the responsibility of like from a distance, like I'm safe. Like this is as just like I'll make sure that it's good, or I will never live it down the rest of my life. I will make sure she gets a replacement drink, that my friend stops complaining about his shoes. Like, stop. You're going to make her feel so bad about herself for dropping her drink on your shoes. How do you think she feels? Like she just embarrassed herself in front of all these angry people and ruined your shoes potentially. Like, shut up. Talk about it later. But I couldn't say that because that would make her embarrassed. So I had to subtly indicate that he should shut up and change the subject. It's like, it's so much pressure, because if I do it wrong, everybody's miserable and it's on me. And it's just the worst.
And that's unacceptable
It's
to
better to just not play. Like never go to Starbucks, then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but why did you zero in that girl though, for the one that you kind of gave the most empathy towards, the one who dropped her coffee?
Because like, oh, your shoes got wet, big deal. Like they'll dry. Like who cares? She just embarrassed herself in front of all these people. She's gonna feel so bad. Like, okay, your pants are slightly wet. Okay, you don't feel embarrassed about that. Like you might feel embarrassed later, but like suck it up. Come on, it wasn't your fault. Like this was a thing that was her fault. She screwed up. She didn't, she put the lid on wrong. It slipped. It's like, who cares? Like it's a very minor screw up, but it just like that's the sort of thing that like if I did that, I would be mortified. So I don't know.
So you kind of just put yourself in her shoes in a way,
I
and
guess.
like you empathize, and then you're like, oh my God, if that happened to me, that would be like the worst thing that could ever happen. So
Right.
I feel so bad for her. I don't want to, I want her to feel good, kind of like console her, make sure that it's okay. It's, this kind of things happen.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just like I just want to hit Control Z and undo the whole thing. But the best I can do is to just like put out as many fires as I can. It's like go mode for the FE. Like, oh crap,
Like
it's on now. Get out of here.
You kind of did it behind the scenes though. Like you made sure that you were not the center of attention when you were putting out the fires, right?
Like I wasn't even putting out the fires. I was just making sure that if the fire team guys, what is, how do you call it? What is the name for fire team squad?
Firefighters.
If the firefighters didn't come fast enough, if they didn't put out the fire, it's like, it's on me. It's like, I don't know why it's on me, but it is.
Yeah. Why is it on you? That's interesting.
It's just like an assumption, zero effort, zero thought. It's like by default, it's on me, period.
It's automatic.
Yeah. I guess that's what savior means.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's very unconscious, right?
Yeah.
So because you're savior FE, have you ever had a tidal wave with your identity then as a result of this?
Let's see. Tidal waves.
Like, identity crisis is the best word, I guess, to use for this situation. Have you ever had an identity crisis where you kind of like woke up one day, you're like, oh my God, who am I? What am I doing with my life? Like, why am I doing what I'm doing right now?
No, it's like, I don't even understand what that means. Like my tidal waves are more just like, because of my double masculine energy is lowest, it vents least often, so it builds up pressure and then explodes.
Yeah.
I've never hurt anybody. I've never come close to hurting anybody, but it's like the buildup of extreme violent feelings. It just feels like I'm not in control, and the solution to that is to be very, very strict on your standards. That's a DI. DI owns your standards. So my standards are, whatever they happen to be. If I know I care so deeply about it that it's like affecting my mood, if I have to bottle that down, I know that if I bottle it down too much, it's eventually going to explode. So instead, just release it a little bit. Like, I feel very strongly about this, and just put my foot down, like, and then that diffuses the whole thing. So, like, I'll give you a for instance of an actual tidal wave that happened in this specific realm. Is like, I was laying in bed, I dropped my phone, and I got out of bed, I reached down, I lifted the entire bed 6 feet into the air, I reached down, grabbed my phone, and then dropped it. Just like came crashing down. Of just like instant reaction. Zero, like not emotional at all. It just like, that was clearly the correct course of action in that moment. And that just like, that scares me so much, of just like, there's that much extreme violent potential there that I have to take it seriously and be, and do whatever needs to be done to vent that in a healthy way, so that it doesn't build up enough that I, start, violently moving the furniture.
So you almost like, if push comes to shove, you can become the Hulk, essentially. Like,
it doesn't feel like that, but I have collected enough evidence that seems to indicate that that is the truth, and therefore I believe it based on the evidence.
Oh, your camera. There we go.
It's got a half-hour timer.
Okay. Wow, that's super interesting how you have gathered enough facts to kind of reinforce that idea, that you will become the Hawk should you get pushed, have your back against the wall, essentially.
Yeah, I think Dave and Shan have talked about it a little bit. Is that your number one saviors, what will actually help you the most in reality, is the doubles in the middle. Because like, you're so weird on the poles, but I can use, like, I can't trust my own opinion about myself. I can't trust anybody else's opinion about myself, but I can trust the data if I collect it and organize it properly, and my understanding conceptually of what that means.
Okay, well, why don't we talk about your double observer then? Since you're a double observer, you're also very interesting as a double observer because your savior are your feminine, right? While your
Yeah.
demon is your masculine. So it's almost like it's not even like 60-40. It's more like 55-45. From what it seems. But as a double observer, you have a relative balance between chaos and control. So can you talk about kind of your experience with like, let's say when shit hits the fan, how you would react to it, when chaos appears versus like someone's trying to control you, take away your freedom. How would you kind of react to that?
Yeah. So I'm FESE, so I'm EJEP. So, when I was younger, I definitely exhibited a lot of the same problems as the EPs of just like knee-jerk reaction to any form of control, like, don't control me, bro, maximum freedom, just like making major
I think you froze.
organize my calendar, never.
Sorry, can you say that again? Because it actually froze for a second.
Oh, sorry. So I never took control in my life in general of like, what time do I go to bed? What time do I wake up? My daily habits, my daily routine, my daily schedule, like all of that stuff. I was, as EP as any other EP.
Yeah.
But when
I completely get you.
Oh yeah, we're all on the same page there.
Yeah.
But then once I actually started taking steps in that direction of, working on control, I found it really easy to do because I understood the value of it, of values. And because like my controller function is actually my number 2 function, my NI, ENFJs go FENISETI.
Yes.
So my NI, although it is a demon, is still a very strong function.
Yes.
And it comes out in the blast, which is my second animal. So it's highly activated. And masculine. So I can lean on it to intentionally to kind of balance things out. And I've gotten really, really good about that. But that's like the human need of control, not so much double observing, which is the question you actually asked.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about the question then, because that was a good answer. I still like that answer. It was good.
Thank you.
But let's go. Yeah, let's go double observer then.
Yeah. So double observing is like I will in just with zero judgment, just gather all the data, just see things for the way that they are in reality. What is the actual performance of this website on this specific device with this specific internet connection? Like, just gather all the data. No, not making any guesses, not skipping anything. Just gather all the data. We'll figure it out later. And then I'll figure it out later, which is actually, look at all the data, process it, and then just like understand like the pattern, the concept that threads through all of it.
So it's almost automatic for you. It's gather, organize, gather, organize.
Yeah. So it's more about like sitting down with the intent to do it and doing just like the animals kind of flow in a certain order. So, play, blast, consume, sleep. Like first I'll play, then I'll blast, then I'll consume. Like now knowing that I can kind of hack that, which is very useful. And fighting against that animal order in the past has been very tricky, but it just kind of seems to naturally fire back and forth. Also having blast and consume right in the middle. So it's really easy to go back and forth between processing and gathering, just like a 2-stroke engine. See, there's an example right there is
that's really good. Yeah.
Data and then analogy.
Yeah. Together. Yeah. Gather the data, shoot it out, gather it again, shoot it out. You're pretty kind of stable with that. Like it's
No big deal.
No problem. It's not like the identity and tribe kind of issue. Now, I'm kind of curious though. How did you get into op to begin with?
Yeah. So I like, somebody was visiting the house. So we're in Sarasota. There were some people coming down to visit to do some volunteer work in the Pennsylvania German language, teaching people the Bible and stuff. There's a new Bible in Pennsylvania German, which is cool. Anyway, so they were here visiting, and they were all into the MBTI stuff, and we got to talking about it, and that kind of piqued my curiosity, and so I started looking into it again, and found a few like YouTube videos and stuff, and the old Dave Superpower videos from like 6 years ago, and then subscribed to that. And then when they came back with new videos, it's like I had subscribed to it and turned on notifications so that I'd know as soon as they had new ones. They came out, announced the class, signed up for the class that day.
The very day, like
that day, like absorbed every single thing the instant it came out.
Oh my God! So you've been since the day one that they announced.
Day one. Yeah, because I was absolutely obsessed with this because it came at the perfect time because I was going through a big journey to understand myself better and understand, how do I improve my performance and, what do I want to do career-wise, long-term, and like all this stuff.
So what was that big trigger then? Like you said, it came at the right time. There must have been a specific trigger.
So I took some time off after my last big job. I was at a tech company for like 5 years, and then I left, and I had the opportunity to take some time off to focus on volunteering and family and health issues and stuff. And it was just a really good time to reflect and like, okay, before I do pick whatever the next big thing is that I do career-wise and life-wise, just like spending some time to kind of, process, because I've been working nonstop since the 90s and with almost no breaks ever. I'll think about it later, kind of, that later finally came.
Oh, awesome. And how did that feel when you finally got that later, that like time to have I guess to use sleep, I guess,
Yeah. Like discovering OP was so, it's like, finally I understand the very, very basics of how humans work. Finally. But it just feels like this now we can finally start to understand people.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is that you jumped in right away, like
play first, play blast.
I mean, I had pretty high play also, but my blast is third, right? So it took me about 6 months before I think I signed up. And like a few more months afterwards before I started interacting with people, in the various different Facebook groups, while you just kind of jumped in 100%.
I think it was just the timing in my life. If like I had been busy with some work project or something, I would have just like, yeah, I'll do that later, and then totally forgotten about it. Well, maybe. I'm just like, also with the NF blast, it's just like naturally predisposed to being obsessed with this kind of stuff.
So NF blast, that means you're that's kind of like your hippie side, if you would kind of like use that terminology. Do you have a hippie side in you, kind of like with that, like you talk about woo-woo, kind of like, I guess Dave would say woo-woo stuff, like, the law of attraction, for example, or those kind of stuff. Like, are you into those?
No. So like, I mean, until learning that I am technically an NF, I was like, if I could have listed the value of all of the functions, which MBTI people love to do, I would have put anything NF as, below the bottom of the barrel as far as like value in the world and interesting. Yeah. But, then I learned that I was wrong. Like, obviously NF has value in the world and is useful.
Yeah.
And it was me who was blind and stupid and, bigoted, let's say.
Yeah.
Against, a quarter of the population, including myself. partially.
Yeah.
So like I still have a lot of anti-NF bias that, you know, I'm working through. Partially it was how I was raised and stuff. Just like not a lot of NF in around the people I grew up around. But, you know, I can see it in myself. It's like the letters of the animals totally flavors that animal. Like I'm SF. Like I totally see that now. Like I still feel like an NT, but I know that's not true. I know I'm SF, but when I blast, it's just like, and then I'll record myself blasting, and then I'll watch it back, and it's like, this is not clear. This is not ST clear.
Yeah.
This is the exact opposite of ST clear.
Yeah.
This is NF.
It's NF. Yeah, it's NF.
NF blast.
So your default is SF. So you know what's popular, what's likable, you know.
Apparently.
So, but in traditional MBTI terms, you are an NF, and in op terms, you're NF second essentially,
Sure.
with that blast second. But then when you use consume, how's that happening?
So I have ST consume.
Yeah.
SETI consume. So just think of me when I'm consuming. I am Marcus Brownlee. That's me when I'm consuming. Or actually, Tom Bilyeu. I'm Tom Bilyeu when I'm consuming. It's just like I like to consume. What is the latest phones? What is the latest technology? How does it work? What are the details? Like cooking shows. Like how do I improve my skills? Like what are the details? Like give me the sensory. Give me the reasons. Give me the technology. Give me like, yeah, that's what I consume is like things that will give me superpowers.
So your consume is very robotic, you could say, like
yes,
like ST robotic style.
Yes, I have zero patience for art or consuming art, consuming anything that FI people like devote their lives to, like nothing, no interest.
So you wouldn't read a book like, I don't know, like Law of Attraction or 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, like those kind of stuff. Like you wouldn't read those kind of books.
Well, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that's ST right there. Give me the superpowers for the FE.
Yeah.
Give me the tools and the skills. Law of Attraction hits me directly in the masculine TI because I know that's not how the universe works. That's not real. So sorry. I mean, but I can see some non-actually true. You can kind of twist the concepts and the ideas of if you act as if a thing is true, if you act as if you are happy when you're not happy, you become happy. You know, and, you know, better things happen in reality because you're happy. But the technical details of how law of attraction is supposed to work, I disagree with. But the concepts and the application in reality, it's like, well, yeah, if you pretend that law of attraction is true, which it's not, if you pretend that it's true, then that does have a big useful impact in your life of just like intentionally controlling your mood, essentially.
I've never looked at the law of attraction in that way, like how you're describing it. I kind of see it like, because I have TE, right? Like even though I'm an NF, I do have strong use of my TE as well. So when I read about the law of attraction and I watched the videos about it, the first thing that came to my mind was that law of attraction forces you to tunnel vision on certain things, you know? So it's like, you know, they tell you to make a vision board, right? Which you put in your wall essentially. And then if you look at it every day, subconsciously, you'll start thinking about it like almost automatically, right? And even though you're not thinking about it, like you're going to start seeing it kind of like, you know, like if someone tells you, don't look at red cars, you're going to see red cars, right?
Right.
So like if I put that in my wall, I'm going to start like looking for it subconsciously, like just throughout my day, right? So like almost indirectly, I'm going towards the direction that I want to go, but only because I'm looking at it every day. Like it's almost like it's in the forefront of my vision. I don't know if that makes sense. You know,
yeah.
You know, so that's kind of how I've always seen it, you know. But I do know, like, if I were to talk to my sister, who's an INFJ, she would totally take it the super NF route and be like, you know, if I feel so good inside and everything in the universe will align and I'm gonna have my wish come true, you know, like,
Right.
so it depends. It depends on who you ask, I guess, on like their interpretation of like the law of attraction, I guess.
Sure. I take a more evidence oriented SE lol perspective to reality of like things that are provable, things that are reasonable, things that are evidence based. And there's a lot of really, really good evidence that kind of the actual practices of law of attraction are beneficial. But I think the disagreement is just like the underlying operation of technically how it's working. I believe, or my understanding rather, is that, you know, by changing your mood and by changing your perspective and your focus in life, it just like it changes what you're doing, and the results that you get in reality are different because you're going in a different direction in life. And anything that you can do to hack yourself, to point yourself in the right direction every single day, absolutely valuable. But you have to be careful because sometimes people, like with yoga, like there's a lot of like religious stuff mixed in with some of these beliefs, and you can accidentally start getting into a religion when what you actually want is just like a productivity hack. You know, you got to be careful there.
Yeah, I think that's a very good description because like yoga, for example, has so many health benefits that are,
Yeah.
you know, proven to be true. But yes, there is a lot of that kind of like woo-woo kind of like that's part of yoga, right? Like, let's open up our chakras, you know? I'm going to open my root chakra now, and then I'm going to, you know,
Yeah.
that part
Like,
kind of
I don't know too much about it, but I just know that like yoga has links in religion. I'm all for stretching and, you know, health and stuff, but I'm not all for getting into other people's religions.
I think talking to you, I've just learned so much about like ENFJs or jumper ENFJ, you know, op types. Because I run meetup groups, and
Oh, cool.
I'm very big into travel. I actually have a travel blog.
Oh,
And,
cool.
so I was once running a meetup on how to save money on travel and how to use your frequent flyer miles to maximize, you know, your savings when it comes to booking your flights. And I remember this one gentleman. He was clearly an ENFJ, just like I might be using anecdotes here, but you know, clearly to me it was quite obvious he was, just based on the way he was talking. And he was really obsessed about the facts that I was presenting, you know, like I would literally show, because I would do like live demos, right? Okay, guys, this is how you book your miles. And if you book it this way, you're going to save this much dollars, like $500 as opposed to spending, you know, like $600 savings, you know, like if you book it this way, you only pay $100. You book it this way, you pay $600, and then you can go to more places too. And then I can see his eyes lighting up, right? And then like I can see he's like gathering all the different facts that like the step-by-step on how to do the booking the right way. And everything was very sensory. It's not like, you know, like woo-woo stuff, right? It's like, it's real. It's not like BS,
Yep.
right? And like, that's kind of like where he exploded. But while later when I had other presenters come in and they talk about like how good you felt when you travel, like, oh, you know, when you travel, you're going to go find yourself and you'll see the meaning in life. And he was kind of like rolling his eyes and he would like, you know, and so that's kind of like the observation I made back then. And then like you talking to you right now, you confirm that, yes, if you are someone that is an ENFJ and especially a jumper type, and when you're consuming information, you want it to be very ST. Give me the facts. I'm going to go organize the facts, you know?
Yeah, but for some, you know, for some alternative data, there's a girl with the exact same OP type as me, you know, FFFFESE, play basketball, consume sleep, Madeline Reinhart, and she is a law of attraction coach. So there's a lot of variety even within the 512 types.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, you know, like I took a course in psychology once, and they said that your personality is divided into 3 pies. And they actually mentioned that MBTI was 1/3 of the pie.
Huh.
When I took that, so they said that it was genetics, like MBTI. You got it from someone in your family line, like either your parents, your grandparents, Like somewhere along the lines, you got that combination. And I strongly believe that because I was looking at uh, my family tree. I mean, like I said, it could be an anecdote as well because I'm looking at just my family tree. But like my whole the whole side of my dad's side of my family are all NFs,
Huh.
and with a small sprinkle of NT. While my mother's side of the family are almost 100%. I guess you can say traditional SJ. Like
SI.
SI users. Yeah, they're all SI users. Everyone, like the entire family, are all SI.
Wow.
And I cannot communicate with my mother's side of the family because they're all SI users. While my father's side of the family, everyone's my best friend almost because like for me it feels natural to talk to them.
Yeah.
So when I took that course in college and they presented it, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And then the other two pies that they mentioned was one of them is your environment, kind of like who you spend time with, the people you grew up with. Like there's a saying, you're the average of the five people you're closest to, right?
Yeah, especially true for EJs, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last third of the pie is your relationship with your parents growing up. Like a lot of people, when you go see a psychiatrist, it's always about like, it's like mommy problems or daddy problems, right? Like it's almost like how your parents fuck you up, right? Like it's almost like, and that's what I got out of that. So when you mentioned that, like there's this other EJ that's part of OP, and it's completely different from you, believes in law of attraction coach. It makes sense because the OP stuff, that's only 1/3 of the pie. Based on whatever I learned from psychology.
Yep. And then there's whatever role gender plays into it, and there's biology, and your childhood. Definitely being raised in a family with mom and dad makes a big difference between mom and no dad, or mom and dad that's never around, or whatever all the other varieties are, which I don't know what their lives would be like. That's got to make some kind of difference, right? I don't know.
I want to switch gears here a bit. I want to ask you a double observer question again. Dave and Shan said that double observers have issues with pain, while double deciders have problem with fear. Can you relate to that statement where when someone says, "Are you someone that would avoid pain on purpose?"
I guess it depends on the definition of pain, but I can identify with the fearlessness of just like, well, then again, I do suffer from anxiety, but that is, my flavor of anxiety is solved by just, doing some processing.
Yeah.
Go and organize your known NI, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I've cured my anxiety by thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's, I guess, fear of the unknown. So that definitely strikes, but it's got to be less severe than somebody that's got, NI 12, whatever.
Well, I'll give you an example. So I interviewed an IP, and he said that he would almost avoid emotional pain on purpose. Like he would avoid, getting hurt on purpose, Well, me as a double decider, I see getting emotionally hurt as something important. Like you should get emotionally hurt because you cannot grow unless someone hurts you. So like I sometimes I have this problem when I talk to heavy FE users because they're trying to make everyone feel good, right? Like but then I'm like, I don't want to feel good. I want to feel like shit,
That's interesting. So yes, I can totally tell you conclusively, yes, I avoid pain. I'll give you some details.
Sure, yeah.
So with feminine feelings, especially feminine FE, you can control your own feelings. Choose what mood you'll be in at any moment, and can control, like if I'm feeling a certain way, just pull it back and take control of it. So like avoiding emotional pain, it was like I cried for the first time like a few months ago. From when I was a kid, I cried too much. I chose to never cry again. And then I didn't for 25, 27, 30 years, something like that, because I chose not to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's a way of avoiding pain, is like controlling situations and anything. Like, I will not cry in public. But that I am very proud of myself now. I have successfully cried in public at least once with no shame. I'm an adult now.
Yeah, you're all grown. You're all grown up. What about physical pain? Is that something that you would avoid?
No, I value all new experiences. If I'm experiencing something unpleasant, I will relish the negative physical experience and be excited while, oh, this is really unpleasant, and I'm just enjoying the new experience of. It's like having an adventure in feeling bad. Of like, I was rollerblading one time. Didn't wear any pads or anything, hit a pebble, went, skidding lost all the skin on this part of both hands.
Oh my God.
It was still an hour drive home.
Yeah.
So I had some fun just like experiencing that pain and just kind of like, it just like kind of connecting the pain wires to different things of like, now I choose that this feeling is now cold. Now it feels cold. Okay, now it feels hot. Now it feels rubbery. Like just choosing what to feel.
Yeah.
And like how to arrange those wires like in the moment. It's fun. It's like I wouldn't choose that if I had the option, but
it was there, and you get to experience those sensations.
That extreme pain. Let's see what we can do with this.
That sounds very SE, like you're almost consuming the pain, like kind of like exploring it, in a So I think maybe this is more relevant to someone that, let's say, is an ESTJ, double observer, because I recall vividly, I had a friend before who was an ESTJ, and he refused to work out in a gym because he did not like the feeling of soreness.
That's just like,
and he would, because you would reflect back to like kind of like a moment in your life, like, and how you felt, and maybe he would picture that again, how he felt when he was sore after working out, and he just avoided exercising in general. And I noticed that, with a lot of EJs that I meet, you from what I've seen, it's a lot of, hit or miss. Like, you either absolutely love exercising or you avoid exercising altogether. So what is your kind of like experience with exercise? Like, do you like working out or do you avoid exercising?
Well, I lost 20 pounds in the past 2 years-ish.
Yeah.
I did not work out at all. My whole life. It was just like something that I never did. I never considered doing, never wanted to do. I knew I should, but do. Like, high value people do that thing, but I just, what was kind of the turning point is like I realized that I had a limiting belief, as they say, of just like I was focused on the outcome. I just didn't truly believe that I could lose weight. And that's what I was worried about. It was just like, no matter what I did, I didn't believe that I could lose weight, so I didn't try. And then when I changed my perspective of like, I don't care what my weight is, I care about my daily habits of like, I want to develop the habit of working out, whatever happens, whatever the results are. I don't care about the results. I care about the process. And when I changed that and I did that, and, we moved to Florida, it's easier to bike around here instead of, North Carolina and stuff like that. It just like, and I got more serious about like what I eat, of just like eat less food, eat less bread, eat less, drink no sugar.
Yeah.
Just like, and it worked.
And you lost 20 pounds.
Yes.
Now you believe you can lose weight, obviously, because you have the fact.
Because I've seen the data through personal experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're a winner.
Sure. Accidentally.
All right, dudes. We're gonna go wrap up this interview pretty soon. I have 2 final questions for you. First one is what kind of message would you kind of give to, ENFJs out there who might be the similar type as you, might be a jumper type, and how can they, use more of their demon functions to kind of work on themselves?
Okay, so a rule of thumb, a couple of rules of thumb that have been very, very useful is always do the thing you want to do the least. So whatever it is that you want, that you really, really want to avoid, go do that thing right now. Get it over with, get it done. Like, do the opposite of whatever feels like your gut instinct, and it's good. And also, like, dedicate time and space to just thinking, disconnected from everything else, just journaling, meditating, as like active meditating, not like religious meditating, but of like what is real. Like, dive into what is actually real, based on evidence, based on data, based on not based on opinion. Like, get away from other people's opinions, get away from your own opinions, try and base it on your beliefs and the truth in based on whatever is provable in data, and not having to get somebody else's approval for it to be a true.
All right, those are really good advice. I like that. I really love your play and blast combination. Like, it's so good. Like, you get so much things done. Like, I really admire it. Like, now, final question. Do you have any question for me that you would like to know more about, like someone that has NE? Because you don't, like someone that has NE or FI or TE or even SI, because I have all the functions that you don't, right? Like, we have completely different functions. So
yeah. So my I think my oldest daughter is 77C, audio, NEFI, with the masculine SI, which is activated, and the masculine FI, which is super intense. And so I've gotten to know her a lot throughout her 17 years of life. It's changed a lot over the years, but like, I would love to know some pro tips to tell her of, like, what would you tell another, apparently ENFP, for getting better at being awesome?
Being awesome, like, that's kind of, do you have anything specific? Like, what is the definition of awesome? Like,
what is your definition of awesome?
Well, for ENFPs, like like for me, my girlfriend's also an ENFP.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're both ENFPs. We're not the same though. She has masculine TE, so
Oh, that's fun.
she tends to punch the tribe a lot. Like, like we call her, like, my girlfriend's name is Karen, so we tell her, like, her inner hawk Karen comes out, and she just punches she punches everyone in her way, and she's also tribe above selves. I mean, that's what I thought. Maybe not anymore, but she seems to punch everyone. Like, she's double masculine. Oh,
that's awesome.
I'm MF, right? So she tends to, like, just like, she's had massive tidal waves recently because she's been punching everyone. And the reason why she's punching people is because they try to control her. Like, she felt like they were trying to tell her what to do, and it to me it makes sense because her coworkers are heavy SI users. Makes perfect sense, right? Lead SI, and masculine FE, right? So masculine FE and masculine SI together is it's like the ENFP's kryptonite. Like, nothing will make us freak out more than to have to spend time with someone that has masculine FI and masculine SI together. Like, that is the ultimate painful situation, because number one, they're gonna try to control us with that SI, like trying to make sure that every behavior that we're doing adheres to the FE of the group, right? Like
the social norms.
And the moment you deviate a little bit from that social norms, they will start wagging their finger in your face, right?
The blaster finger.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And she felt that because all her coworkers, and I think I actually told my girlfriend it's her fault. She's like, she chose to like I told her she chose to work in this field. And in this field, a lot of EJs and IJs are going to be working in that field, and they're going to obviously try to control her. If you work in a different field, like, let's say tech, like, then you're going to work with more NTs. They don't give a shit about this as much. So
I don't know. There's a lot of controller entities.
You're probably right. I'm making an assumption here, but like,
Right, that was my masculine TI. No, that was wrong.
yeah,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. I like it. Doesn't bother me. Hey, I'm a double decider, so I'm cool with
Oh, right.
yeah, whatever.
That's so chill. I'm envious. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't like people say shit to me all the time. I'm like, eh. I just like rolls off my shoulder.
That's
You
awesome.
know? So as an ENFP, the biggest thing that ENFPs care about is authenticity. It's not about what is socially acceptable. It is who is your true self, and are you following that path? So if I were to put it in more concrete terms, let's say you're trying to pick a career path, right? So one career path makes you so much money, but you absolutely hate yourself. Like you want to kill yourself every waking moment living in this. But you get status, and you get money, status and money, right? Which is kind of like what society tells you that you should have, you should aspire to. You know, a lot of advice that parents give to their daughters back in the days was you should marry a lawyer or doctor, right? Like that's you know, because you get status and money. But like as an ENFP, they would rather pick like the right building where you're happy, and maybe you're also making good money, obviously, because you can't be an idiot.
I don't know. I've seen evidence that seems to indicate that many people can and do be idiots.
Yeah. A lot of people are idiots. I'm an idiot in a lot of things too. But like so.
Me too.
So basically, as an ENFP, the goal here is to climb the right building where you're both making decent money and you like it, and it's authentic. Like it matches your values. You know, like whatever the value is of that ENFP. So different ENFPs have different values, but if you're someone that has masculine TE, for example, then you value family strongly because that's part of your tribe. You know.
Huh. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So my girlfriend has masculine TE. For her, family means everything. For me, I'm kind of an asshole. I kind of neglect my family because I have masculine TE. I'm also self-above tribe, so I'm like, I'm gonna do my own thing. If my family's not on board, then I just won't see them as much. You know, it's really like it's almost that crude, right? With FI and T, like masculine FI is very like I'm gonna do my thing. You know, like
yeah.
And if you guys get mad at me, obviously I won't be happy, but I'd rather choose my happiness and my authenticity over what the group wants.
You're obligated to. It's like you don't even have a choice.
Yeah, it's almost like an obligation. Like I'm obligated to care about myself more than the group.
Right. Like I had to make sure that girl got her replacement coffee. You have to make sure that you get your replacement coffee.
Well,
or whatever.
I'll get my replacement first, but then I'll go help the person afterwards.
Sure.
It's not like I'm not going to help them. I'm going to help myself first, you know?
It's what you're obligated to do. Like if somebody else is taking care of hers, like it's not your problem.
Well, I'll just stand there and wait for an EJ to come and save that person. You know?
Sure.
Yeah. Like I'm sure an EJ will come in, and I'll be the second line of defense because
sure.
the IPs are probably the last line of defense, right? So
Boom.
I'm still helping, but like, you know,
take that quarter of the population.
So I don't know if that answered your question, but
that's so funny. I don't remember what my question was, but that was a lot of good stuff. Like my wife is like an INFP, but cranked all the way up. She's FI, SI, double masculine, sleep, blast, play.
Double masculine. So masculine SI and masculine TE.
Right.
And so she has feminine FI then. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, so she's kind of easygoing as a result of that. I mean,
sure.
Well, like, I mean, with herself at least. I don't know.
She's too movable with herself. Is like she'll trample on her own needs in order to help other people out, and then be upset about it later. So I have to come in and make sure that she takes care of herself. So it's like she's a weird IP that it's like an IP that isn't an IP. It's like it's.
Well, you're an EJ that has masculine TI, and
right.
you're working in it. Like if you look at your career, it seems like it's almost a perfect match. So
I
you,
guess so.
and it was all subconscious when it happened, like
Yeah. I
like
wanted to be a designer, and like I accidentally developed all of these tech skills.
yeah, and now you have user experience designing stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And your wife is like your opposite essentially.
Yeah, like we're both SF and we're both consume low, so we share the know-it-all disease.
All right, dude. So that was an awesome interview.
Oh,
We'll,
sweet.
we'll wrap this up now. I'm gonna go hit pause. And yeah, man. Talk to you soon.
Sweet.